in attendance tonight at the opening.
Hey, Kevin, I don't know, you tell me how things are looking like for that performance tonight. We're seeing the beautiful sunny skies, the glimmering water, the high temperatures, 26 degrees outside the Toronto airport. And if that hasn't convinced you that things are going to be a-okay for later tonight, let's take a look at our visible satellite, which is so clear at times it looks like it's glitching. Now, unfortunately, we know that we're being pampered. Elsewhere in the province, trouble is ensuing as we speak. There's severe thunderstorm activity into northern Ontario, and that has prompted these severe thunderstorm watches and rainfall warnings actually in place for that severe activity later this evening. Unfortunately, we know that that is headed our way. As early as tomorrow, we'll see that thunderstorm risk reignite, and it's going to be quite the active system that we're going to be dealing with. So dry conditions overnight tonight, clear conditions by tomorrow, sunny and deceiving start to your morning for most, but as early as 2 p.m. until about 8 or 9 o'clock, here is that risk of severe thunderstorms. The highest risk for areas around Windsor, Huron County, Bruce County, into northern parts of Cottage Country and around Sudbury. Those could be seeing the heaviest amounts of downpour, some strong winds and hail expected. There is a possibility for that into Toronto and the GTHA, other parts of Cottage Country like Peterborough and into Kawartha Lakes. So that is going to be quite the time heading your way come tomorrow. Temperatures on the climb, lots of humidity in store as well. In Toronto, 30 degrees, your forecasted high, feeling closer to 37. Expecting some thunderstorms later on in the evening. Kevin?
Thanks, Noor. All right, we got to take a look at the weather. We got weather specialist Noor Rafat here. So, Canada Day is coming up. What can people expect?
Yeah, well, this is the part in the forecast, Kevin, where I say don't blame the weather specialists.
Oh.
They have nothing to do with the forecast. It is a bit stormy on this side of the country. Central Canada and the east in for some risks of severe thunderstorms. It will be drier in the far eastern sections of the country, maybe even some sunnier breaks over there. For others, a bit of a volatile situation in the coming days. Let's take a look. Well, we are expecting to see those sparks fly just in time for, well, the end of June and into early July. In Toronto specifically, thunderstorms expected later on in the early evening, pushing into the late evening, and temperatures on the climb. Your high 29 degrees, feeling closer to 37. There's a lot going on, a lot of humidity, a lot of instability that is fueling those thunderstorms, and along with that, the arrival of a cold front will help spark some of that active weather that we're expecting tomorrow. You can see, though, where the heat is situating itself around Ontario, Quebec, parts of Atlantic Canada, but also around parts of the prairies. Much of them are looking at above average temperatures, and that is a trend that will continue into the first few days of July. Actually, large parts of Canada will be under above seasonal temperatures, some seeing relief heading into the latter half of this upcoming week, some not so much. And in southern Ontario, eastern Ontario, and the southwest, we are expecting those temperatures to remain above average for the next 7 days. Of course, with the cold front tomorrow, as I mentioned, and with that heat and humidity, there is that risk for that active weather to return come tomorrow. And it's going to be a risk of downpours especially, but also strong winds and large hail. Tuesday morning, here we are, Canada Day, starting quite severe into Cottage Country, eastern Ontario. We're talking rain, thunderstorms, strong winds. But as the day progresses, this starts to move out, so things could start to clear in the GTHA as early as 10:30 to 11, so right at the start of that annual parade in East York. We were watching for a risk of another round of thunderstorms to roll in at around 3 or 4 o'clock. It is still unclear if it's going to materialize in the GTHA or in Cottage Country or the east, but for now, some of our models show it could only be that single round early in the morning, and especially heading towards Cottage Country in the east. So expecting a wet start to Canada Day for Toronto. It will start to dry up by the afternoon. You'll see that sunshine return, and you'll see those temperatures also climb. Tomorrow, 29 for that high, as I mentioned, not 24, 29 in Fort Erie, and some 30s into Hamilton, Brantford, 31 towards Niagara Falls, of course, feeling warmer with the humidity. It's back down to 28 on Tuesday with that chance of seeing some rain, as I mentioned, early in the morning for Canada Day, and remaining above average heading all the way through until the end of this upcoming week. The risk of thunderstorms also returns Sunday, 29 degrees your high.
Get delicious.
The forecast. Let's check in with weather specialist Noor Rafat. Hey, Noor.
Hey, thanks very much, Kevin. Really hoping many got out today to enjoy the beautiful conditions experienced in Toronto. Hopefully at a beach or a pool or something, just to well, live vicariously through these people who were working in the office. Yeah, 17 degrees overnight tonight, a warm overnight expected in Toronto. We've lost our visibility with the visible satellite because the sun has set. So let's turn on our night vision, and we've got some cloud cover, not in the southern parts of Ontario though, but further up to the north. That's where we're seeing this active weather taking off the past little while. The severe thunderstorms have been continuing to push further east, and that's why we're seeing these severe watches and warnings in place by Environment Canada earlier today as these storms continue to bring a risk of downpours, strong winds, and potential for some hail as well. Now, this is important because it's these same bands that will see that thunderstorm risk reignited, but into southern and eastern sections of the province as early as tomorrow. So it's going to be a clear overnight and a clear morning tomorrow, a sunny morning and a deceiving morning, because as early as potentially the lunch hour, if not around 1 o'clock, you'll start to see those thunderstorms pushing right back in, and some of the most severe ones could be around the Windsor region up towards Georgian Bay and into areas like Sudbury and northern Cottage Country. Now, the risk of thunderstorms continues for Toronto as well, and we expect it to push in potentially around the afternoon commute if you are working tomorrow, and then continuing into your evening as well. So don't be surprised if you see those downpours. There is a risk of flash flooding for some communities that are affected, and we'll show you what our models show in the full forecast. For now, climbing temperatures, your high 28 degrees expected, but feeling closer to 36 with the humidity. Kevin?
Thanks, Noor. All right, we got the weather forecast coming up with our weather specialist, Noor Rafat. Noor, you know, it's a long weekend, so what can we expect in terms of the...
It's a bit all over that we're active there in central Canada. Mother Nature doesn't care. It's a long weekend. It's like, I'll do what I want. And it's going to really depend on where you're situated. So the risk of severe thunderstorms can't be ruled out. And we'll see those climbing temperatures indeed in the next few days. Let's take a look. Well, expecting the threat of active weather tomorrow in Toronto, and same is the case for Canada Day. You're expecting those thunderstorms around the afternoon commute. Again, if you are at work tomorrow, if you're not, watch out for that active weather because it could linger into the evening. We will see some sunnier skies, which may be deceiving for some in the early morning hours, and those temperatures above average, a high of about 29 expected, with the humidity feeling closer to 31. You can see where the heat is positioning itself across the country. Ontario and Quebec, parts of the Maritimes tomorrow, but also parts of the prairies. Just because we're heating up on one side doesn't mean we're cooling down over here. And heading into the first few days of July, large parts of the country will be sitting at above average temperatures. In fact, much of the country will be sitting at above average temperatures. There will be some cool downs locally into areas like BC, like Quebec, parts of the Maritimes with some rain. That heat, though, continues, especially into southwestern Ontario, come tomorrow and into Monday. Those highs above the 30-degree mark, of course, with the humidity feeling closer to the 40s. And one of the criteria for an excessive heat warning is those overnight lows giving little to no relief, which is what some, like Windsor, are going to be seeing in the next few days. High humidity and high heat do help fuel thunderstorms, and we've got that setup in place already. There's instability in the air, and with the arrival of a cold front tomorrow, that will be enough to make things kick off and ignite into southern and eastern Ontario. So again, around the afternoon, 1 o'clock, we could see this push in, and continuing into the evening, your Canada Day forecast, unfortunately, looking stormy for its start around much of the Golden Horseshoe. This continues into Cottage Country and pushing east, and we're watching for a risk of another round around the afternoon hours, the late afternoon, so 2, 3, or 4 o'clock around the GTHA. It's not going to be 100% dry, but you could see some dry breaks just in time for that Canada Day parade in in East York at 10:30. We're watching closely what happens, but because of these severe thunderstorms, the risk of flash flooding is possible, and you could see some amounts are severe around Owen Sound, around Fort Erie, really depending on where the system tracks and just how much thunderstorm activity we see and how much rain comes along from those thunderstorms. Your next 7 days, climbing temperatures 29 by Wednesday, still above average Thursday and Friday, although dry, and then here we are into the low 30s Saturday and Sunday. Risk of thunderstorms returns.